Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1986 horror comedy classic, House, starring William Katt, George Wendt, Richard Moll. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. You can go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube, Kevin D, that's me. Hit the subscribe button, it's totally free. You can also follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. Don't forget to spread the word, tell your friends and neighbors, won't you? House. In this movie, William Katt plays Roger Cobb. He is a Vietnam veteran who's also an acclaimed horror novelist. Over the last year, he's having some trouble. His son mysteriously disappeared, which caused his marriage to kind of go on the rocks, and now he's divorced. So it's a very sad time for him. Also, recently a beloved yet crazy old aunt recently died and left him the house that she died in. She was found hanging from the roof. A delivery boy found her swinging. So he's got the house. He's suffering from some sort of PTSD from the war, but he's also traumatized from his son disappearing. His like 8-year-old child disappears. He's very upset. Meanwhile, he's got writer's block because of all this other stuff going on. He's got a book that's supposed to be turned in within the month, but he has no ideas. He was going to write about his experiences in Vietnam, but no one wants to hear that. They want him to write his traditional horror fare, if you will. So he's calling the FBI, have you heard anything about my son? Are there any leads? And they're like, don't call us, we'll call you. Good times. He moves into the house where his aunt has died. And he's starting to remember some of the more kind of spooky things that his crazy old aunt would talk about, how the house was haunted. When his son disappeared, she said the house took the son, the house did it. So he's decided he's not going to sell it. He's going to live there in seclusion while he tries to work on his novel, essentially. While he's there, kind of strange things start happening. He starts noticing there's a creature that comes out of the upstairs closet at midnight every night and attacks him if you open the door. If you don't open the door, nothing happens, I guess. Later in the movie, crazy goblin-like creatures try to steal another child that he's babysitting. Why is he babysitting? I don't know. You've got your crazy neighbor, George Wendt, who's actually not that crazy. He's very concerned when he starts to visit his famous neighbor, Roger, and discovers Roger's telling him, I'm seeing things, there's a monster upstairs in the closet, blah, blah, blah. George Wendt tries to call the ex-wife, says, I'm concerned, he seems kind of crazy, he had a gun in his hand the other day, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spoil everything going on here, but there's an important plot point. There's some flashbacks that go on here from Vietnam. While he was in Vietnam, he was sent to go on ahead with this other guy, a big hulking guy, who was kind of a psycho, a little too... he's not concerned that there could be Charlie in the bushes with their guns and that sort of thing, making a lot of noise. So eventually they get attacked by the Viet Cong, and he gets shot. He tells Roger, kill me, Roger. I'll never make it. Just kill me. Roger can't do it because he's a normal person. He can't just stab his buddy. So he tries to move him, but then the Viet Cong show up again. So he runs off and leaves the dude to get basically dragged off in the woods by the Viet Cong. Meanwhile, he's saying, I'll get you, Roger, if it takes me forever. So, is that something important for the plot? Perhaps it is. So there you have it. Again, I don't want to spoil all the twists and turns that guide you through this movie. It's kind of a weird movie. It's ostensibly a horror film, but it has a lot of comedic elements. Even at its most scary, it's not that scary. They're constantly interjecting kind of wacky humor in it. William Katt plays Roger Cobb, who you might remember from Greatest American Hero. He was the blonde dude with like the perm kind of hair, who found the special suit that allowed him to fly. So there's a lot of scenes of him going, as he's trying to fly. That show, Greatest American, Real American Hero, one of those ones. George Wendt plays his next door neighbor. You remember him from Cheers. Richard Mall plays the evil veteran who he left in the jungle, essentially. You remember Richard Mall played Bull on Night Court. So it's basically peopled with people who are in 80s TV shows. So that's important. That's good to know, right? In case you're keeping score. It was directed by Steve Miner, and the story was written by Fred Decker, who went on to write and direct Night of the Creeps. So there you go. This movie actually spawned, if you can imagine, 3 sequels. House 2, the second story, which was in a different house. Also kind of spooky stuff going on. Also kind of funny, kind of. Then there were 2 more movies. The third one had very little to do with anything. It was kind of a separate thing altogether. It was actually released under a separate title. It was called like a picture show or movie theater. I don't know, something like that. That's the kind of hard-hitting analysis you get here, by the way. And the fourth one was House 4, where they actually brought back William Katt 20 years later. Spoiler alert, they kill him very quickly, but they brought him back just to kind of connect him to the original movie, I guess. I don't know. When this movie came out, it was actually second in the box office its first week, losing out to Pretty in Pink. What can I say about that? Not much. What else can I tell you about this movie? Some other actors that were briefly considered for the roles in this movie. Glenn Close and Sigourney Weaver were both considered for the lead female, the ex-wife, who they're still kind of friends, and I guess they kind of get together at the end. She pops up every now and again. They were considered for that role, which I think means up until the point they called and said, hey, would you do it? And the actresses said, we'll take a pass on that big guy. No thanks. Dennis Franz was considered for a role in this from NYPD Blue fame. He was going to be the real estate agent. Very nondescript. As you know, George Wendt from Cheers is in this movie. Strangely enough, in the sequel, House 2, the second story, John Ratzenberger, also from Cheers, plays a small and crazy role. So there you go, it's got that Cheers connection. It's a good times, had by all. This movie currently has a 50% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It's fine. It's not that scary, like I said. That doesn't mean sit down with your kids to watch it. It's not that scary. And frankly, one of the issues with it, in my opinion, is William Katt, who plays Roger Cobb. He never seems that concerned about it. You know what I mean? It's like he opens door, there's a monster, he goes, fights it off, and then he's just like, that's strange. There's a monster. Hey, I'm falling through this mirror into a dark, scary place. It's like he screams while it's happening, and then 5 minutes later he's like, I'm over it. I was in Vietnam. It's all good in the hood. So it's one of those things where it's like, are you trying to be scary or are you trying to be funny? Because it's neither that funny nor that scary. So decisions. You can rush out and see it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, or dust off an old copy. Send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, questions about this movie or any other movie. Send in your movie suggestions. I'd love to hear that. I'll add them to my Netflix queue, and I'll do them as soon as I can. So there you have it. I may talk about it on the show. Next week, we're moving away from this kind of crazy genre into the action, I guess, kind of spy intrigue. Cloak and Dagger, starring Henry Thomas from E.T. and Dabney Coleman, the International Man of Mystery. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it and let me know what you think. please spread the word. You can go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us a thumbs up. Go to our page on YouTube, subscribe. It's totally free, and you can follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Damn, come back from the grave and run out of ammunition. So that's the level of quality you get here at the B Movie Club. So there you have it. Next week, Cloak and Dagger. Thank you for joining us, and be well.